Yo, mic check, mic check, mic check. Oh, all right. I have music playing in the background, so I have to make sure my music is down. My peeps know what's up. But all right. What's up, YouTube? What's up, Crypto Land? Hello, cyberspace. This is your boy, Crypto Bruh, aka More World Peace to DJ. Today is June 23rd, 2023, y'all, and it is Friday, and it's the end of the week. And you guys know what it is. If you've been following the channel, make sure you like and subscribe. We talk about Zen content every single day, looking at every corner, every piece of it, just so we could try to figure out what the fuck is going on over here. So, without further ado, today I'm going to be doing this nice little AMA. You guys know I'll be messing up with my acronyms, but we're going to do an AMA today with the man himself, the founder of Zen Crypto. Let me make sure his audio is live.
Testing,
Welcome,
testing.
welcome to the channel, Mr. Jack Levin.
Hey, how's it going? Good to see you.
It's going good, man. How are you feeling today?
I am feeling pumped.
Pumped up.
Uh, Bitcoin's pumping. We're approaching 31,000. I think bear market's over.
You think the bear market is over?
Yeah, I'm gonna give financial advice and say bear market's over.
I'm on the opposite. I think crypto sucks.
Yeah, yeah, crypto sucks, but that's how actually how we can we can use that narrative to improve it. We're here to make it better.
I can feel that. I can feel that. Like, see, it's what it is. Is this is probably I've been in crypto since 2017. So I'm the crypto user where every time it pumps, it dumps on me, and I'm always trying to figure out what is the correct direction of the real market that we speak of. But that's one of the reasons why I wanted to get you on the channel today because we've been talking more and more about the Bitcoin and what's going on over there in the Bitcoin land, especially with this whole taproot and ordinal situation. So crypto is looking pretty up. There is this new innovation, all this new stuff on top of the Zen stuff. And yeah, I hope Bitcoin keeps going. My little thing is if it can get above 31 and hang out up there, make some friends with 32, then we might be in a really good zone. But I'm gonna keep myself on the fence up until that point. But yeah, before we start diving in on what I just talked about like where we are today in Zen world, which is hanging out with Bitcoiners and stuff. For those that don't know who you are, right? I think my mom might be watching this stream today. She might be giving showing me some love. Who is Jack Levin? What where like we know you started at Google, but why why did you start at Google? Kind of like give us a little breakdown of what I have here is your history to technology.
Yeah, so moved to Silicon Valley in 1997. Was doing all kinds of things, things with security, things with VPNs, firewalls, build out of data centers. Met Larry and Sergey at Stanford, and I didn't go to Stanford myself, but I was in the rollerblading club, and one day I just literally rolled in
Nerd.
into Sergey. So I rolled into Sergey, and he was trying to recruit people to work at his new startup, Google. Only 7 people worked at Google at the time when I met him. And to be perfectly honest, when he first pitched Google to me, I was kind of underwhelmed because I figured there's so many search engines out there. Why Google? Like, and the name sounded pretty stupid to me too, like GOOGLE. I mean, like who would come up with it? But I figured, they wanted to be something like, something silly like Yahoo. I mean, Yahoo sounded silly back then too. And so I met him, and he's like, "Yeah, you should try it. It really works." And I tried it, and it was amazing. It searched for everything. There was no spam links, no porn, no advertisement that attacked me, no viruses invaded my computer. I could immediately get into the articles I really wanted to read about the language I was studying at the time. And I'm like, hey, this is something that I can get behind because I love the tech. I love what they're doing. And so I called them up and I'm like, hey, I'm coming in for an interview. And so I came in, and I think the office maybe had only 10 people at the time. So they hired maybe 3 people between when I met them and when I went for the interview. So I came to see both of them, Larry and Sergey, and I was showing off, obviously, because I was 23, 24 years old, and I wanted to impress them. So I brought in a piece of tech, which was like a small, very very small box. It was like maybe 3.5 inches long, and it had embedded Linux on it. And that Linux, I've customized the kernel to boot up not from a floppy, not from a hard drive, but from a chip. So I was integrating Linux into uh, on-chip storage technology so that it could boot into the memory as if it was a device and not like a computer. And the story there was that it was a very very small like micro web
What,
server that
what
you
do you
can.
mean by not like a computer?
It's a computer, but it's not. So, like, Linux came about with the idea that you can use your regular PC and load up Linux. And PCs were usually towers or, pizza boxes. But
Mm-hmm.
this was this big, it was tiny, and it had no moving parts. That was important. There was no moving parts, it generated no heat, and I think it was consuming like 15 watts. So it was low power, but powerful because it was the first server embedded on the chip that would boot up, and you can do things with it. Like you can run the web server, you can run VPN, you can have firewall, you can have 2 boxes connect to each other over a secure link and secure the networks between like an office and the data center. So Larry looked at it and he's like, wow, this thing is really cool. We need to hire this guy. And I'm like, okay, I'm hired. Let's go break stuff. And came to the office a week later, and they already had maybe 20 people at the time. Like literally within that week, another 10 people were hired. And I was part of that group of 10 people. So Marisa Myers was hired the same, pretty much, not the same day, but she came the day later, who later would become the CEO of Yahoo. So Marisa was she was in charge of designing "I'm Feeling Lucky" button, to make it look better.
You know what's funny about Yahoo is when I was a kid, and this is what's kind of cool about our distance of time traveling. I'm gonna say, right? Like I'm the kid that saw a floppy disk in elementary school and played like Oregon Trail, and then
Oh yeah,
I watch like technology in schools elevate from like that floppy disk to them wheeling in maybe some computers or you have a computer room and things like that. So even Yahoo to me, it was a big name, but it reminded me of those drinks, those little chocolate drinks, the Yoo-hoos. That was kind of like
you
how I used to think like of Yahoo. I'd be like, oh, is that the chocolate drink that like we drink in school? And then everybody would be like, nah, man, that's like a website. That's that's not a chocolate drink. So that's pretty cool how you were pretty much in the meats and you were in the mix of that. I asked this question, why technology? Because towards the end of this, I do want to get into doing some modern day tech, man. We're gonna do some crypto. But to get to that point, I really want to bring out to the audience like the behind the scenes to get to today. Because, like
sure.
I said, I was the kid, and I'm pretty sure a lot of my audience as well, because we're very integrated in Zen. We're like, I think we have a Telegram as well. It's called Zen World. But I think we're the Zenians that are out of the spaceship, floating around space, trying to figure out what's going on in crypto, right? We have
Yeah,
all these blockchains. We got everything that is just changing on the fly, and it's cool to have to the white paper some like-minded friends that I can link up with and explore. But when we do our background on you, we see that you are kind of plugged into the system right now, right? You started at the Google. You know the person who created or became the CEO of Yahoo during its golden era. Um, how does that translate into like your next steps after Google? Like, what did you end up doing after Google?
yeah. So I exited Google in 2005, and I thought I'm gonna chill for a while, but I immediately started working on ImageShack.com. And within 2 years, ImageShack.com was number 11 in the world by visitors by Alexa. So Alexa was like a big thing to measure the website's popularity. And we had 60 million monthly active users coming in to use ImageShack, which is pretty amazing. So
What is
ImageShack
ImageShack? Okay, there you go.
ImageShack is an image hosting service. It was attempting um, to make image storage and image sharing make available for anybody for free. So generally, you would get into the website. You have to like sign up, pay for it, and only then you get like you can make an image gallery. And usually, like you couldn't hot link those links, like you couldn't share them. You were forced into the website's ecosystem. But what I was trying to do is I was trying to get the ImageShack users to spread the images that they host everywhere. So like on forums, on blogs, on MySpace, um, everywhere, on Twitter too. So the idea was completely upside down and fully reversed. It was free, and you were encouraged to push that data out. And so that actually worked really well for marketing. And that's how I really learned the power of marketing and why it's like so important. So imageshack.com URLs were spread everywhere. In fact, I think if you type in ImageShack into Google, you get millions of results because imageshack.com URL is embedded pretty much like in any website that allows image sharing or image representation on their web pages. And so other people would come to those websites and they would see that people are using imageshack.com and they would come back to our site and start using it.
You know what's funny about that? Because I was going to ask what a competitor was to ImageShack. Because when I was coming into the internet, we had Tiny Link, right? I'm also part of the heavy MySpace days, bro. Like I'm talking MySpace forums or
Tiny,
bulletins. If you know the
Tiny
bulletin
Link or
world,
Tiny Pig? Wasn't it Tiny Pig?
yeah, I think it was Tiny Pig. Yeah, yeah,
Tiny Pig.
because you needed to make it smaller and bite size so that some websites wouldn't load it if it was too big of a bite. So you needed to go to Tiny Tiny
So
Pig.
Tiny Pig was photobucket.com. So photobucket was like one of the pay for services out there. And we keep stealing their users. We were vampiring their user population. And because we were free and we were faster and we didn't require registration. You need to have an account.
Hmm.
Like we were pioneers in being undoxed because you don't even need an account. You don't need to dox your email. You just go ahead, load your
Did you
images.
stumble on that, or I mean, is that just like what happened with ImageShack? It just happened to become so organic that you didn't need to
It,
sign up.
it's just what people wanted. We knew that people didn't want to share their email addresses at all, and people felt that they can be more free in loading data on uh, online. And so TinyPig was an answer from Photobucket to fight back. It was actually the same company. So they copied everything we did. They tried to revamp us back and get back their users to use TinyPig, but they were never actually really that popular. And so we were all over MySpace. In fact, 20% of the users were coming in from MySpace because MySpace had this really crappy image hosting. It was compressing images. There was a lot of artifacts where we were loading really kind of like large, high quality images that you don't need to create an account for. So you can immediately become a user without needing to tell us who you are. And that's, I think, what actually got us so popular.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I was actually you didn't vamp me. I had PhotoBucket. When I was in middle school, I was the kid who understood how to use Photoshop, and I would sell to my fellow students layouts on MySpace, and I'd upload them to fucking PhotoBucket, so that this way I could like set up the exchange, like, oh, well, I'm gonna put this overlay on your MySpace and give you all this cool HTML stuff, so that you have the coolest MySpace on the block. But I was watching an interview that you did. Uh, where you talked about a company called Imagizer, which seems to come
Yeah,
after ImageShack. So I see you
yeah.
got the Google Rock in early 2000s. Then we got Imagizer going or ImageShack, battling the birth of the internet pretty much with MySpace and Twitter. But what's up with this Imagizer? What is this thing?
So Imagizer, actually, the name came from Star Trek. So they used Imagizer for something on Star Trek, and we thought it was a cool name. And
You vamp Star Trek as well.
For the name, yeah, for the name.
That's cool
Uh,
though.
and, and so Imagizer was a component of ImageShack that uh, were converting images on the fly from larger resolution to smaller resolution. And we discovered that a lot of people actually needed the image storage as a service for other businesses. So Pinterest was first enterprise customer that used Imagizer to show images on Pinterest, which was a pretty cool experience because it's kind of like forced us to rethink optimization. We made image resizing done pretty much on the fly, so you can load a 3 megabyte image, but then like within milliseconds you could convert it to other like thumbnails and crop images and manipulate them, apply filters. And so they really liked it because they didn't have the image manipulation tech. So they used imagizer.com for Pinterest. And then pretty much almost immediately, Twitter guys came knocking and they said, hey, could you actually do the same for Twitter? And so we developed this new branded website called YFrog, letter Y, like yellowfrog.com. And it was fully dedicated to serve images to Twitter. So for the next 3 years, we were a backbone for Twitter to show images and videos. And that was yfrog.com together with Imagizer.
Hmm. Wow, man. That's actually really, really interesting because being someone that's like again coming through the internet, and I found Zen Crypto because of the internet of how I guess cryptic it is. It happened to come across my desk where I could finally get into something new outside of meme coins and such. But Imagizer, it sounds like it was very integrated within the internet. Um, you've also, and I'm just, we're kind of speeding everybody up, right? We're 20 minutes into the stream. Make sure you hit the like button, you hit the subscribe button. But I'm speeding you guys up because on the Zen train, we've been on this thing for 8 months. So I've heard this many, many times. But just to kind of pack it within a 20-minute edition of who we're speaking to. I just want to bring up these key points that make me interested in this dude Jack Levin and his projects. So when I was doing some digging on Imagizer, I realized that you did a speech or like a talk in like 2017 where you were talking about integrating that with blockchain. What's up with that talk, that interview, where you were trying to? It seems like you were trying to get into blockchain before you kind of done what you've done today, which is really step in the blockchain and start to integrate your past experiences into today's experience. But going into that moment of 2017, what is this blockchain for Imagizer?
So I really try to figure out how to use blockchain for like regular businesses. And because we run imagecheck.com and yfrog.com and imagizer.com, I thought we're already very much pro being undoxed and just giving people freedom to manipulate, store their data and represent it in a decentralized manner. And so I figured it just kind of like really makes sense to use the blockchain technology for imagecheck.com somehow. And so
Mm-hmm.
that was my early studies into Ethereum and how what can we do with smart contracts? Can we actually converge the Web 2 and Web 3 worlds together? So that was one of those interviews that I think you found in 2017. But I was a Bitcoiner from the beginning. I was one of the larger, well, not larger, but I was a significant miner uh, uh, for Bitcoin production. I think I was making 15 to 20 Bitcoin per day, and that
Damn.
was 2011. And it was the Googlers that actually got me into the blockchain technology, into Bitcoin. Um, I met with some even though I quit Google in 2005, I just kept in touch with my Google buddies. And one time we were having lunch, and they were like joking about how you can use Bitcoin to buy bazookas and all kinds of illegal stuff. I'm like, oh, cool! I need to get into that because sounds really interesting. So I came back to the office, did a little bit of research, and brought up racks of servers, bought a ton of video cards, installed all of them, got the fans going because we were heating up the data center, and just got into mining. And I still have my first original wallet, Bitcoin Core, that was receiving all the I guess mining yield
Yeah,
from Bitcoin trade.
I tried to inscribe a bitmap. We'll talk about this later, but I tried to inscribe that block as a bitmap before you, but somebody already did it. So they, if you don't have it, they front run us, just so you know.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah, it happens. So anyway, so I got really like into Bitcoin before it was worth anything. It was trading like under $1. And in retrospect, I should be buying Bitcoin, not mining it. But I was so interested in the tech, I just kept mining it, and I think I was mining it for at least 2 years. So I
What
just had the
what about the tech of Bitcoin is interesting? Like what's
just
your what intrigued you about it?
well, I think it was like at least three things. It was the economic impact, the fact that you can do self custody, that was huge, and the fact that it was a peer to peer network that could not be taken down. And so I thought this is a very very interesting thing to get into because nobody can take your Bitcoin. You can actually trade it with other people. Back in the day on BitcoinTalk.org, we were trading Amazon cards, like $50 Amazon cards for Bitcoin. So that was super fun.
I mean, that's a way to make it valuable so that there's a reason to transfer it. Because I mean, like that's crypto, right? Like one of the things that made me have to understand what a Bitcoin is where the value is and why people would find it valuable, and then apply it to practice, right? Like see if you can find some value within this thing that doesn't exist. Because I mean, at the end of the day, Bitcoin doesn't exist. I guess it is something where you become a nomad and you're the person that says, "I believe that this thing is real." And to you,
Yeah.
you're saying that that was just the first principles aspect of Bitcoin that spoke to you. It wasn't the let's make some money and get some green candles going.
It was definitely not that. Definitely not. I mean, like one of the really cool aspects about being a Bitcoin miner back in the day is that you were part of a club of 500 people that were doing it. There was
Mm,
literally just 500 people in the world who
sounds like Zen
understood.
World.
Yeah, and so being part of a club was cool, and we were all talking about like things like hashes and like what does it mean, how do you optimize silicon to yield better hash rate, and people were experimenting with submerging video cards into cold liquid that cannot actually short circuit anything, and how can you actually like overclock just everything and put it into sub-zero temperatures. And like it was really really interesting techie project
That
to
sounds like
yield.
some super nerdy battle testing that nobody else is doing but you guys.
Exactly right. Exactly right. So we felt it was like this really interesting thing, kind of like I wouldn't say it was like very exclusive, but it was exclusive uh, through the fact that no one understood the value, but we understood the value of self custody and how the early bitcoins were collectibles in a sense. Like we saw it as like as not just like as numbers that you trade, but more like okay, so I have 1,000 Bitcoin or 500 Bitcoin or whatever that is. That is my uh, an indication of my effort of moving forward the technology and like what do you do to get it right. And so I was very proud of my Bitcoins that I was producing because I was making them out of nothing, right? Like literally giving birth to Bitcoin from my servers.
Hey, that's great,
So
man. Men, we cannot give birth, but we can birth a Bitcoin. So
that's right.
that type of power, that's how I feel when I turn on my Zen miners and I go out and make a bunch of ZenFTs. I'm like, all right, it's time to born some burst some crypto. Let's get this crypto. But I'm glad that we're breaking it down, right? One of the things I want to make sure before we start talking about the updates of today, since this is our first time kind of speaking one on one, I just want to make sure people get why it could be complex, this world that you've created called Zen. I think it's pretty complex because you're a pretty complex dude, bro. Like coming from Google to exploring with, pushing Bitcoin as far as you can in the middle of 2011 when nobody even cares, right? Like I think in 20, I'm just now catching up on like all the survivors because I was just partying all 2011 as a teenager, early 20-year-old, you know? So I'm glad that you guys did that because I definitely wasn't going to be doing that shit, but I needed it for today. So when I finally wake up to the value of Bitcoin, I see all the hard work that went in behind it, right? Like most people don't see the things that go on in the background; they just see the product. And it's and that's the craziest part about technology. One of the reasons why I like Bitcoin is because I like the word Bitcoin. After I found out like you can create your own bank and you can be your own person and not have to, worry about someone coming and, you know, getting into your bank account or taking your money or, you are really self-sovereign to yourself, and that pushed me to learn more about Bitcoin in 2013. I didn't actually buy it until 2017, but hearing it and seeing my friend, I had a friend who his whole life changed. He went from living on land to living on water. It was pretty ridiculous. He was like coding on a boat in the middle of San Diego in 2013, telling me he's buying Bitcoins and pure coin and all this other stuff. And again, I was, in college, my mind was scrambled. I heard about it, but I didn't get into it. So thank you guys for building it out because, again, today, we're going to just fast forward. You've created the Zen token, which I think is one of the most amazing algorithm tokens out there. And what I mean by that is the way that the token is created, the consensus to make it, I think is one of the best. Actually, one of our fellow Zenians, his name's Cosmic Kid. I always have to give him rep, I have to rep for him on this one because he said it. I didn't say it first. But we were looking at Zen as kind of being Bitcoin hooked up to a battery. You know, because just what you just said, man, you guys are submerging motherboards in weird ass like liquid that nobody cares about, to push this network as far as it can go, to battle test it for humanity to see if there is any flaws for someone to come in and not mess up the network, like, so you've created in a sense all of that work so that today in Zen world, we do have some sort of cryptocurrency that doesn't need all that extra shit to become a real thing. And that's kind of, my interpretation of it. I see native coin as just being a form of technology or, it's gas and then time. You put those two things together and you've got crypto. Typically, you have to go and get an ASIC miner or set up a whole rig. It can cost up to 10,000 plus dollars and not even get anything, that kind of risk in this environment of today is a really, really I think, frictional point in Bitcoin. Kind of why I was away from it for a long time because I didn't see an answer to that. I didn't really see an answer to like people buying a bunch of stuff, and I mean, we can get deep in this, right, and start talking about global impact and, is it realistically real to get everybody online? And then, boom, out comes Zen. In my opinion, we have a better economical environment mindset token now that can be made, on a POS system if you really are saying to yourself, hey, I don't want to, dibble dabble in that carbon over there. You do have that POS system that you can create this new uh, coin with that's immutable, right? So let's start to get towards Zen. So we got the Google, we got the ImageShack, ImageGeyser. Let's go ahead, start learning about smart contracts, testing out everything. But we go back to getting the Bitcoins and testing out hardware for no reason. Why Zen? Why did you decide to create your own crypto after being involved as I guess you could say an experiment type of user? Why try to become more of a influential user within the space? Why that's kind of where I want to go with this. Like, why Zen? Why did you think Zen needed to exist?
So, so I wanted to bring the ethos of Bitcoin into Ethereum, like specifically the fact that you can just attach your own brain to a web page and just start making coins for yourself. But it can't be too easy because otherwise there's no value. Nothing that's too easy has value. So it has
That's a
to
fact.
have some sort of work uh, involved. And I figured that the way to do the work is that, well, just like with Bitcoin, you can only put so many transactions into a block. And if you want your transaction to be prioritized, you pay more fees. So you pay more, more satoshis to get indexed by the blockchain. And so I figured if we can replicate this in Ethereum, then we can bring the Bitcoin message and decentralization message into the masses of the Ethereans and create something interesting from the game theory perspective. And so I thought definitely the work will be the amount of time you need to wait. And then you have this patient group that can wait, and then you have impatient group that wants to buy. And so Zen kind of like is really a bridge between patient and impatient, and that's what gives Zen value. That people who are willing to wait a month, 2 months, or 400 days, the arbitrage between people who are buying and who are not really thinking, that's the impatient is the market, and patient people are market makers. So the ones who are actually willing to put the work, they make the market, and the
Mm.
impatient people, they just trade it on the Uniswap or the decentralized or centralized exchange of choice. And so the other thing was that was a little bit different and kind of the same at the same time was that the fact that you get this vanity C ranks or crypto ranks, because we wanted to bring in the concept of being an OG within the network by minting a block on Ethereum that actually gives you a C rank that's relatively early. And also, like if you get an early C rank, all the people that come after you will amplify your yield for Zen. So it works opposite of Bitcoin, because if you think of Bitcoin creation, you have those miners, and if you're a single miner on the network, you pretty much mine all the blocks for yourself. But as soon as the other miners come in, the difficulty increases, and now you're sharing your yield and your payout of Bitcoin with everyone else within the network, which is cool and interesting. But what we thought to do different is, because the Ethereum already has the consensus mechanism that makes it secure, there was no need to raise difficulty. We wanted to go the opposite route, and we said that, okay, well, if we can get the network effect in and dialed in, then you will have incentives to bring people into mint Zen on top of you, create the C rank delta, and you get more benefit by being early and watch the network grow. So you have the incentives of amplifying your yield just by growing the network together with the community. So that was actually opposite of Bitcoin, because Bitcoin's miners increase difficulty and there's less for everyone. With Zen, it's actually more for everyone. But then we also wanted to balance it with the time difficulty, such as there's this 3000 amplifier that we came up with, where it's 3000 days, every day it ticks down by one. So it's more difficult to make Zen, but then you still have incentives to bring people in into the network. So we figured decentralized technology, being undoxed, following first principles, bringing more people in into the network actually benefits the network and benefits everyone. And so, and also we thought that while Zen is hyperinflationary for the first few years, it can be used as a building block for other projects, and that's why the code to do proof of burn within the Zen contract exists, so that you can actually build projects on top of the community, existing community. You don't have to build your own. You can just release a project and tap in into all the Zenians who are willing to trade and burn their Zen for something else that comes that could have a variation of a game theory, something like more interesting.
Yeah, nah, that was the one reason why I kind of started my rabbit hole with Zen. I remember when I got the code because it came out before the launch, and the burn contract was in there, and I just knew through crypto because yeah, you know, I'm a seasoned degen, I guess you can say. I've seen my days. And I was, you know, I know burning means something, man. If it's gonna burn, it's gonna help at least with the narrative of pushing people to this idea that it's gonna disappear. But then when I put it all together, I was like, wait, this thing is burning and hyperinflating and then gonna have like a waterfall effect where the burn might actually squeeze the amount of coins coming out. That
Yeah,
shit blew my mind. I was like, whoa, this could be a really, really cool vehicle of crypto. And again, we're Zen's about mass adoption. I tapped in on it, bro. I am not on Fair Crypto, everybody. This is just a regular guy. If you follow me on my channel, my name is Crypto Bruh. I make music. I DJ here in New York City. I'm a real person. So I'm not affiliated with Jack. I just been in the background watching these moves through Telegram and the internet. So one of the reasons why I really dove in onto Zen was because I could see that squeeze happening in a degen atmosphere, that more people starts to burn, then eventually the supply should become deflationary, just based on how people got to keep minting, right? Once the mint is over, you got to start over again. And
Yeah.
yeah, so the game never ends, which means goes back to mass adoption. Like I can get my mom into Zen because it's not about the game. It's just about cryptocurrency. It's like about telling her, hey, we're gonna do this action, and then we're gonna do another action, and then if it sounds interesting, you know, we could go and dip some motherboards in some weird liquid and push the system to the limit and see if we can break it or whatnot. But yeah, that part of the mass adoption for me is really what intrigued me into Zen. Did you guys see that kind of coming out that way? Or, I mean, you gave us a very technical rollout of what Zen is, but did you see that user connection of mass adoption towards it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like, and again, going back to marketing, I just felt that the best type of marketing for anything is first and foremost is functional usage. Like, what can you do? What can you build? And that's marketing for the ecosystem. So imagine 50 different builders are building on Zen and creating even more interesting projects that using Zen as cash, digital cash, to power their creative force, and they don't have to discover or build their own community. They can join Zen world, if you will. And so that was always a plan, is to have the marketing done through the fact, well, first of all, it from the get-go it looked like Zen was free. You just pay gas, which was awesome, which is the same as Bitcoin, like exactly the same. Bitcoin was free for miners. You just pay electricity, and you pay
Yeah,
the
that's right.
effort of setting up your rigs and submerging them into non-conductive liquid, that sort of thing. So that's the work, and then you get the rewards, which are your digital assets that you can then give even more value. And so we thought that, okay, well, definitely we want to give value to the Zenians that create Zen, that give birth to it, but we also wanted to give value from the fact that you as a builder are also very much welcome to build and tap into this force of creation.
That's nice, man. Well, I mean, builders should see that, but you know how builders work, bro. They go wherever the loudest founder is. So you got a loud ass token though. It found itself. It's
Well, yeah, and that's actually a very good point. So I thought, how can we make the most noise possible? And I figured, okay, it needs to go to every chain. It needs to be on every chain, and it needs to be top 5 token. I didn't even, I hoped that was the case, and now it's a reality, because you go on any explorer, we're dominating every chain by transactions. So every person who is trying to figure out what's raising the gas for them, like where's the activity, they actually see that to be Zen. And that's a marketing engine on autopilot. So it's bringing people's curiosity in, and anytime there is some sort of shakeout of a chain, like what we did with Bitcoin with VMPX, which is also like a concept of Zen. So Bitcoin got to 650 sats per VB,
ugh,
which was huge. And all of a sudden, the whole Bitcoin narrative has changed. And Michael Saylor started talking about why ordinals and BRC20s are really good for Bitcoin because of fee generation that actually gives miners more reasons to exist and making the network more secure. And so that itself was an expression of this idea where the impact on the chain, whether it's short term or long term, brings in eyes into what we're doing and opens up people's eyes towards first principles.
man. Yeah, it's crazy how it came at the right time too. Like it right when you get the next leg of the bull market to be right. I'm at least on my channel, we're broke out here, and that's because we're in the middle of a bear market, and a lot of the opportunities aren't gonna be with making money in crypto, but making money around the idea of crypto, right? In 2024, 2025, yeah, we're gonna be partying, 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 woo, woo, woo. No one's gonna even care about today, and this is why I wanted to set us up for this, bro. Especially if you watch the channel, you know Crypto Bro loves setting up the whole fucking point of the fucking thing, right? So now we're here, we have this mindset because I would probably even say Zen, after hashing it out right now, is a mindset that's similar to marketing. And if you have that technical piece of the puzzle, which we love about Bitcoin, having that first principles, if you can create it, if you want it, if you have space for it, if you can do it, you can do it. And having those two things kind of together, I kind of feel like Zen is starting to become its own thing, right? I preach this all the time. I think Zen is its own thing, and it's about building on top of it and being the biggest builders, right? And
Yeah,
once upon a time ago, you did say that. You said you want to be the biggest builder for the Zen token, and that's
yeah. I
why
want
you
to
made
be the
X1
user.
chain, right?
Yeah, I want to be the user. So I definitely minted Zen from day one, just because it was so much fun. And when you're minting Zen with your friends, you're contributing towards a very very similar cause, which is giving rise to very Bitcoin like system that can expand and take advantage of smart contracts, and also it's very much affordable, because I think you really like Avalanche, because I heard that you talk about Avalanche.
Oh yeah,
So
all day.
Avalanche is cool.
Avalanche.
Yeah, Avalanche is cool. I mean, a lot of people don't actually haven't even seen or used Avalanche. Avalanche C. I think it's basically an extension of the EVM from the Avalanche core.
Hmm.
And now people get into those alt chains that they never actually even thought that would be useful at all. And Zenians dominating all of the side chains, alt chains everywhere, like Moonbeam and Avalanche and like various other things out there. It's just so interesting that pretty much, it's funny that you say you broke, but you know what? On Avalanche, you pay like what, a couple of cents for a mint. It's
I
pretty
mean, that's
awesome.
why I'm on Avalanche because I'm broke. I like the reason why I like Avalanche is because when you do the math, because that's the beauty of Zen is it's such an immutable thing that it's a math piece, or it's like it's a excuse me, it's a variable in the algebra. So
Right.
if you're doing the problem, and you put the Zen in there, and that's what you want to get the best of. Like my last equal would be X1 chain, right? And
Yeah.
and I know I need the Zen. So of
Yeah.
course I might want to go to Avalanche if I'm broke because I can make a Zentarion over there for $7, around $5. Whereas on a Ethereum, a Zentarion is $1,000. So if I have $1,000, if I do the work, right, like going back to our conversation about Bitcoin, like where you work the most. So if I felt like if I do the work the most on the specific chain, then naturally someone would have to step in and do more work than me. And that's kind of why I love Zen in this atmosphere because it doesn't make me forget about ETH because it reminds me that like this is crypto and we have these market caps, we have these pools of TLV because we need, or that's what crypto's for, it's a store of value. So you got those TLVs to store. But I've been challenging, bro, rattling the cage on what it means to be Zen everywhere. And that's why I'm like, I could take Zen from you and put it on Avalanche and run with A Zen and say, yo, forget Jack Levin on ETH Zen, bro. We're only burning on Avalanche Zen because we believe in it more than the ETH Zen. And I think that like yin and yang, or I've been calling it high pressure, low pressure. That is a really really good internal battle to keep the autopilot marketing going.
Well,
And
you're definitely making Avalanche more popular just by being there, which is amazing. I think interesting technologies, uh, they either should be made popular and scale and be amazing, or they should be broken.
hmm
Broken, not in a negative way, but in a way that they realize that, wait a second, if adoption comes all of a sudden, we really need to do a good job to actually make it useful for the masses. And so
hmm
that's, I think, is what we're trying to really deliver as a message, and help the chains everywhere to scale up.
Yeah, okay. So that's kind of like what you've done to Bitcoin now with VPMX. You know,
VMPX,
oh God,
VMPX.
I did it, guys. I said VPMX. I don't know why it rolls off like that for me in my little acronyms, but I'm just. Oh yeah, I was gonna say Jack's Bitcoin. So that's what you did with Jack's Bitcoin.
Yeah. Yeah, VMPX is interesting. So we thought to bring Zen to Bitcoin somehow, and we talked about it with Zen. So even in February, when ordinals came out, we were skiing in Tahoe, and I'm like, dude, listen, BRC20s or a variation of something that mimics a token will come. We need to be ready for it. And within a month, it did come out. BRC20 was like this really just a silly thing. The author, Domo is his name, himself said that don't do anything you would regret. Don't sink your money into it. It's completely just a giant experiment. But that experiment jumped to a bunch of 40,
Oh, we got.
which was in terms of the adoption and the new builds that happened on Bitcoin and made Bitcoin more useful. Can you imagine? Like you played with Unisat wallet, right?
Oh yeah, that's like my main squeeze.
So like Unisat wallet did not exist. It had no reason to exist. There was no Web3 connectivity to Bitcoin that could be used en masse because there was no drive to the creation of any digital artifacts besides just hodling Bitcoin. And you can hodl Bitcoin on Bitcoin Core wallet and you will be fine. That's all you need. I mean, there is Electrum. There's also Sparrow where you can play with Taproot variation of the addresses and all that stuff. But there was really no need to bring it to the web. And now within a month, we have like 4 different wallets that live in your browser and make Bitcoin more useful, which is so amazing because that's like being day one on Ethereum or when MetaMask came out. Uh, you're like you're an OG on Unisat, as if you were at the time when MetaMask was first designed, which is pretty incredible time to explore.
Yeah, that's a fact. I mean, that's why I'm so deep in crypto now because I got in during the Justin Sun era, and I left MetaMask and went to TronLink, and I am forever. I'm grateful for the experience I had in Tron because that's when I had like some of the most fun, met some of the coolest people in crypto. But it did take me away from MetaMask. It made me nervous to get into RPC swapping because
Yeah.
I didn't understand what that meant. I knew I had money on my MetaMask and I didn't want to upload some network that was gonna, steal all my funds. So it took me like a month, 3 months or so to get hip to switching RPCs, and I missed all of the farms on Binance Chain. And I'll never forget that moment. That's why I jumped into Unistats. And I realized too, maybe you can give us some clarification on this for us Zinians, right, that are spacewalking outside the spaceship over on Bitcoin. But I realized that there's different things going on and there's different wallets, and not all the wallets support everything. And this is because there's 3 different types of addresses in Bitcoin. There's your regular one, which is the one that it works specifically with the Bitcoin network. And then there's your SegWit address that you could like say like Coinbase has a SegWit address to send Bitcoins directly to your wallet. Faster, cheaper. It's pretty cool. I learned about it now. And then now we've got this Taproot wallet that can, mix things up as well, where you might need to send some funds over. What exactly is it about these inscriptions that make things different? Like what's happening when I inscribe on a Satoshi?
So there's actually 4 different addresses on Bitcoin. There's the legacy P2PKH. That's the very first one. It's I would say comparative to the others, the legacy one is very expensive to use. Like you end up actually wasting your fees on putting the transactions to
That's
the
the
block.
that's the 2011 network.
2011. So P2 PKH, that's legacy. Then there was the nested SegWit, which was the next variation. That was much better, much faster, longer address. Then there was the native SegWit, which came out maybe 2 or 3 years ago, which was even better. So it has the entirely different structure, how everything is encoded. And then finally, Taproot P2TR. came out just recently, where the Bitcoiners, the Bitcoin community, decided that what they could do is they could basically, rather than just using blocks for transaction, you could also put arbitrary data into the unused space of the block. So first
Mm.
thing they did is they expanded the block from like 1 megabyte to 4 megabytes, and you can now fill in the block all the way up to 4 meg. And this actually could go maybe to 10 meg eventually. Who knows?
Wow.
And um, but ultimate idea that I think was genius is that the people decided that rather than just securing the chain and just working for wallet to wallet transactions, you could also sell the block space, and you can sell block space for arbitrary data to be inscribed in it. And so Casey Rodarmer, he decided to actually, develop this thing called ordinal theory that describes how the data can be linked to satoshis. And there's like common satoshis, epic satoshis, rare, and whatever legendary satoshis. Kind of similar to what Bitmap is doing now with interesting blocks,
Mm-hmm.
like for 20 blocks, blocks that have 69, 69, 69, the blocks that Satoshi himself created, that sort of thing. So all of that kind of, it became very, very interesting from the fact that as a miner, the block producer, if you will, you can actually also take in data that have a different type of value structure and sell that space to the highest bidder, which is pretty much anytime you pay gas or fees for anything, you're participating in an auction for being inscribed and being part of that block.
Having that real estate.
Exactly, exactly. And so it's similar to Ethereum, obviously, because Ethereum is also has this gas auction. But finally, there is a reason to compete for block space. And you know how, like with Bitmap, you can look at the Bitmap and you can see like 3 people are already trying to inscribe it, but they paid
Mm-hmm.
little fees, so it says pending or confirmation waiting for the Bitmap to be inscribed.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can uh, get ahead of the line for those bitmaps, and you can pay not 20 sats per VB, but 50, and you will be inscribed earlier than everyone else, even though they came to claim that block before you. You can put yourself ahead in the queue just because you're willing to pay more money to be inscribed for that digital artifact, which is a bitmap within a block.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy is that when you really think of it, Ethereum, we've always thought of the ETH as like gas, but with this whole new taproot theory, it's what opened me up to this idea that every cryptocurrency that's gas is block space. Because the more I own of that token, the more block space I essentially can give to someone else or spend on myself. That's kind of why like sometimes I don't sell my Zen because now I see Zen as block space, where it's like, oh
Yeah,
shit, like if I give away my Zen, now somebody else is gonna go burn up my block space I can get credits for. And that theory didn't pop into my head though until I understood the ordinals and
yeah,
locking a photo in the Bitcoin or in the Satoshi instead of having it separate, right? Like when you do the Ethereum transaction, you just send gas and you get back the thing, and that's it. It's just on Ethereum. Not to hate on ETH or anything. It's just on ETH. But when you do that action on Bitcoin, your photo or as in Ethereum to the standard ERC 721, a simple explanation of it, it says that it's a deed that's on the blockchain. And that, I mean, that in itself, to think about it, like you can load a deed on the Bitcoin network, one of the most, the biggest, actually, one of the most, fuck that shit. It is the most biggest network on the planet currently, and until we know when it's not. But yeah, knowing that you can lock a photo or some sort of value on the block space there, that's really what started to open up my I guess you could say imagination about what else can we lock on Bitcoin and what
so
else can migrate from Ethereum to Bitcoin.
so you're definitely excited about Bitcoin. I can see that. But
Oh boy.
what was the pivotal moment for you to like dive back in, so to speak, into Bitcoin?
Um, well, I won't lie, man. It was when you said that X1 chain would be a bridge for BRC20s to Ethereum. That's what made me feel like, okay, I got to start listening to what everyone's saying in the spaces. Because if I don't hear it, I won't be able to interpret why that's even in action. And I don't like X1 chain. So this is still when I'm shitting on X1 chain because I don't see a reason for another blockchain. We have tons of them, and now we need another blockchain. But when I heard that you could exchange the value between the two, it made me curious to what does that even mean. And then I started to see that I have a friend. Shout outs to the D God. Shout outs to Zebo from D Bozos on top. Gotta give him a quick shout out. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, my guy who's in the D Gods camp was telling me he was buying all this stuff. And I actually told him to get into VampX, and I didn't even have any. I was just like, oh, I heard through the grapevine that this is a good coin. You should maybe get some of it. Like, it's linked to Zen. I know I don't have none, but I know it's got a message with Zen. And then my friend, yeah, he ended up winning on it because it went up. He got it at like 5 cents or whatever. But he really started to, make my imagination go up when I started to see that DGOTS built a migration portal, so some people can migrate some of their DGOTS to Bitcoin. And
Mm.
when I saw that, I was like, damn, this is going to be huge for people in NFTs. So another thing that brought me into Zen was the NFTs. When you had a town meeting on Twitter one time, this is before like I started streaming and everything. I came up on stage because you were talking about ZenFTs, and I knew that if we could get ZenFTs on the board, like the billboard of OpenSea, that a bunch of money-hungry DJ and NFT guys would jump in on it. So I was trying to get the edge on that, like, oh shit, this might come through, and people might want to get interested in this game theory, but it's a lot longer than how short-minded I was thinking. But knowing how NFTs work and knowing how people put value to now you could say block space, right, on Ethereum, because it's just like a JPEG on Ethereum. Um, Knowing that they could bring that value to Bitcoin, which is a commodity one, and then on top of that, it's the biggest and largest market cap on the planet. So the amount of movement in there that could happen if things get built out, I could just see how big this potential area of crypto could be, because crypto is a
Yeah.
giant industry, and industries always have genres or departments within the industry itself to keep the industry up. I'm in the music industry, so I can speak to that shit. And like, I know that Bitcoin is kind of like the universal of crypto, right? Like, if you don't know this, Universal owns so much IP, which is intellectual property, of so many different things. Every time you watch a Universal movie, they have every hit that you love to hear because they own it. But if you watch like a Disney movie, they got to make their own music because they don't own like this all the songs from the 70s, because Universal Music Group owns all the songs from the 70s, right? And you got to kind of respect those things, in my opinion, when you look at the bigger, broader spectrum. And that's what got me really interested in this BRC20 world, because Bitcoin is the biggest cryptocurrency today. And if we can ride on top of it, then there is this big market for it. And I bought some Vamp. I saw how easy it was. Um, what else did I do? I got some Buffy. Saw how easy that was. And now, yesterday, I inscribed 20 bitmaps. I started playing with the bulk feature just to start seeing what this world is, because I do feel like it's potentially going to change crypto in the idea of how people perceive a Bitcoin. Because right now we know it, everybody wants the Bitcoin to make money, but we could change it to where now people can want the Bitcoin to buy block space. And that is just huge to me.
Dude, I just looked at Buffy. So Buffy floor was at 8 sats per Buffy, and it's 50.
Oh, wow.
It's 50. So it went 5x in a week. And we haven't even talked about Buffy, the utility of anything. Buffy was like this really silly idea. Like I had 15 minutes until the Southwest takes off. I don't know where I was going. I forget. I think it was either towards Miami or from Miami. And I'm like, okay, let's see how quickly I can launch a pure degen shitcoin and just like see what happens, because the fees were low. We were at 20 sats per VB on the block, and it took me seconds to deploy Buffy, and then I tweeted about it, and all of a sudden the fees went up to 150 and stayed at 150 sats per VB for like 7 hours or 8 hours, 9 hours maybe, and it was all got minted out. and it was very, very inexpensive to get into. And it was 9 sats just last week. Now it's 50 sats. And so, like, you would think about it, like everything's going down in the Ethereum world, where Buffy is like doing 5x.
That's why I
Uh,
jumped in, man. I actually saw that. Well, I was comparing, contrasting a lot of the other brands in BRC20 land, and I realized that most of the Zen ecosystem tokens were very active, where people were literally buying and selling and trading. And again, this is going back to what I was saying. Like, it's like a mindset where people who understand how to work. I actually have that written down here. Like, why did you vamp MetaMask users from Ethereum into Bitcoin, as if we knew what we were going to be doing, right?
yeah,
But that's something that I see within in the Zen mindset is there's a lot of people who like clicking and doing daily clicks and bringing that to like Bitcoin. It changes the dynamic because most of the brands are like looking like for new ways to get people to click their stuff.
yeah, absolutely.
You know?
And you know what? I totally agree with you about why should the world have more L1s or not? And that was always a question in my mind, like why would we? What is the reason for X1 to exist? And I really felt even from the get go. I even tweeted that what if we had Sats and X Sats on X1 that actually connects to the Bitcoin world? Because that is really what people want. People want full interoperability between the chains, doing, trying to create like this sort of decentralized system that allows the assets to go back and forth and have wrapped sats, if you will, go to X1, be tradable there, and go back to Bitcoin, or go to Ethereum. So like literally tap into both markets at the same time. And that was kind of like in my mind really what should differentiate X1 from every other L1 chain, where L1 chains they kind of trying to exist on their own. Like for example, Phantom has Spooky Swap, and like Avalanche has something else entirely, and they're all trying to replicate what Ethereum has done with Uniswap and OpenSea. And this opportunity of connecting Bitcoin to the EVM world is still up for grabs. And that's where I felt the real story for the X1 should be. That should be the narrative of connecting Zenians to Bitcoin and Bitcoiners to Zen.
Mm. Yeah, because I mean that shit didn't make no sense before you said that, bro. It was like, yeah, another L1. Oh man. Well, I hope we can figure it out. But at the same time, I had this theory that we were gonna do some sort of interoperability from the white paper. And that's why I got really invested in Zen, because again, I'm coming from 2017 era of there's a lot of different chains and there's a lot of different FUD. Like I didn't
Yeah.
get to jump on Bitcoin because it was pumping so hard that it was not the gains. Like Ethereum
Yeah.
was the gains. And now
So,
we're like in that medium, like everything is the gains.
yeah, exactly. So you know what's interesting about Buffy and VMPX and Pussy too, obviously.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um, and Pussy is so great because you can always like come up with all kinds of meme jokes. Like you can say that, hey, if you can get Pussy, you can get anything.
Yeah. And it's got a
So
good supply. The
yeah,
69,696.
yeah. And what's really interesting about those tokens, those BRC20s, 80% of the holders are Asians.
Mm.
So
80%?
80%
08.
80% of all holders of VMPX, Pussy, Drac. Drac was this like other thing that kind of got a life of its own. And VMPX, obviously, Asian community dominates that market. And so what's really interesting about that is that they didn't know that Zen existed, and they got linked to Zen through this narrative of VMPX,
Mm.
which is awesome for our community to grow, to be growing. So now this 80% of Asian population that's into BRC20 markets, they're seeing this and they're getting linked to Zen World. And
Why
so
do
and
you
that's
think that specific part of the world is the most interested in BRC20s?
so Asia in general is a lot more advanced in Southeast Asia, and pretty much everything outside of the, so like the United States is the nation of hodlers And obviously, there's a lot of degen
Wild.
traders and shitcoiners and all that stuff. But Asians, Asian population actually has more reasons to be in Bitcoin
Hmm.
because the banking system is so unstable and the bank can close on you and um, you'll go to jail for challenging the authorities. So it actually makes a lot more sense for Southeast Asians and pretty much everybody, like the third world countries or like brick countries, to hold crypto. And so they're finding reasons to for their satoshis not to be hodled, and they're swapping their satoshis for other digital artifacts. Like it used to be, they would go to something like Gate.io or Polynex or anything else that's, you know, or OKX or OKC, trading platforms. But now they can do it in a fully decentralized manner using Unisat. And by the way, Unisat team is all Asian too. Like
Mm.
it's all that world. So Unisat, I would say, is one of the largest creative marketplaces that you can mint your stuff. Obviously, you can make it out of nothing just with fees, but also you can engage with trading, and it's fully decentralized. And because they were Asian to begin with, they were marketing that platform to Asian communities. So anytime
Okay.
anything comes to Unisat, the Asian community is the first ones to see it.
You know what's crazy about that is I was kind of getting that vibe that there wasn't much Western interest, and I still kind of am getting that vibe. That's why it's like it's funny that the West can only think of like, oh, let's do JPEGs. Like um, I mean, I don't know what it is. Like, I have a lot of friends who got into crypto in 2020. So I was the weirdo that got into crypto in 2013, but didn't really get in and start like losing my mind, talking about it every day till 2017. So I actually have like another core group of friends where they enter into crypto in 2020, and they go from literally what was it like $3,000 Bitcoin to $69,000 Bitcoin. So like for them, the perception of crypto is branding, is marketing, and they're from the West, so all they know how to do is JPEGs. And
Yeah,
um, I mean, I see that being a really good way to get people hip to ordinals, but I don't see it as the most sustainable way, and that's why I'm excited about VampX. I got really excited about the idea of VampX because of the stability it could bring to the user. Even that's why I went, I bought some and I sold some so I could really become that user that wants to interact with the BRC20 world. And I mean, it feels just like I'm on Ethereum.
yeah,
Besides the
yeah,
confirmation part, and I know that confirmation part is why I should be bullish on X1, because if my opinion, Mr. Jack Levin, I believe that that's what should make this shit faster. But seeing how like I do have to wait like 10 minutes for it to show up, I have to be patient, and I could see things getting really, really fast, really, really quick. Like how we are
yeah,
talking about the bitmaps and how people are already getting front run on like the fun numbers, and you need to know you got to put your gas up or you got to put your stats up in order to front run the front runner. And I see all of this happening. Another thing I saw happening was when I'm on Avalanche, this is how I got to VPMX, right? I'm not trying to use any centralized exchanges. Like I do not like using centralized exchanges. It's not my thing. Some people's thing, not my thing. I'm 100% self custody when it comes to exchanging. The only time I use a centralized exchange is when I'm turning my crypto into money, because that's it. We only fiat out because we live in the real world. And you gotta go and pay your bills and all that other stuff. But when I'm in crypto, I try my best to stay within the core elements of trustless. So I found out about BTCB. Have you heard about these, like OFTs, the Omnia Chain Fungible Tokens?
I haven't heard about it now.
Oh, okay. Well, cool. I know something you don't know. So the reason why Avalanche has the most Bitcoins in their Bitcoin exchange is because the core wallet team works with Layer Zero to create the BTCB token and
Oh,
create that
it's
liquidity.
BTC.B.
Oh yeah.
BTC.B.
Oh, I gotta put the dot in there. All right,
Yeah.
BTC dot B. But the BTC dot B token, what I realized was a really good way for me to get to Bitcoin because the core wallet is it's set up on Taproot, or it's set up on native SegWit, so I could quickly transform BTC dot B into Bitcoin and then change and send it to my Unistat wallet. So that's how
Yeah.
I like I got onboarded into the whole system.
Yeah.
But seeing them do that, I was like, wow, this is cool. But I paid $20 bridge toll in Bitcoin to them to do my bridging. And
Yeah.
yeah, once I saw that $20 bridge toll, um, I knew that this could potentially be another type of market where people are simply, jacking up the price, or, the bridge toll is the bridge toll because we are the only people that have it. And then the other thing it made me think of was like, hey, what does this bridge toll look like when Bitcoin's like soaring after the halving and everybody's behind Bitcoin? Like, what's a 10x on this, right? Like, it's like, oh shit, I'm paying $200 to go from Avalanche to Bitcoin, and I'm not even, I have no ability of getting any of that. So it's not fair
Yeah.
crypto.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
So
Avalanche crypto.
ideally, it should be cheaper. It shouldn't be even $20. It should be like, under $3. And that's what we
Mm,
want to bring to the Ethereum world, is we want the Ethereans be able to swap their Ethereum for Bitcoin under like $3 or something like that. And
mm-hmm.
and actually, what's really interesting about Bitcoin right now is that, like, even with bitmaps, you only pay $2 for inscription.
Yep.
So, like, you cannot pay that much on Ethereum.
That's what,
Um,
not right
and
now, not
so
never again. I don't think.
Right, right, right. So Ethereum has the scaling issue. Like, one of the reasons why Ethereum is so slow is because all of the blocks, or transactions that get into blocks and get assembled into like the set, all of the validators have to validate those blocks in sequence. And because the blocks are produced at 12-second interval, you need about 25 blocks to actually to have the full finality or final finality. So it literally takes 25 confirmations, or I think it's 10 or 15 minutes to get finality of your transaction. And because of the old tech, the way that they have implemented it, every validator on Ethereum, or at least the first 25, have to process everything in sequence. And that what makes Ethereum expensive and slow. And there's so many things that could be improved. And of course, they're working on it. I mean, they're working on sharding, and there's L2 solutions. But, like, to be honest, L2 solution always felt like a band-aid for me. Like, you have this one slow chain, and then you're scaling you're trying to do this ZK rollup, zero knowledge rollup. Basically, you're pushing your expensive uh, executive execution layer somewhere else to another chain, then you settle on Ethereum. And I thought that eventually this would come to Bitcoin, where Bitcoin is a settlement layer, and you can have something even faster than Ethereum and Bitcoin, and have this zero knowledge type system that allows you to run NL1 that's acting as a bridge between everything, and it's super fast. And so what we're currently doing, we're experimenting with this technology called the directed acyclic graph,
Mm.
and also known as hash graph.
Oh, Hashgraph.
And yeah, it's hash graph and directed acyclic graph. So it brings me back to my math minor. So I have a minor in math, actually. I also have a major in psychology, and
Mm.
computer science was one of my majors. And so directed acyclic graph, basically imagine um, nodes, or like a node tree. You have this first node, and then you have two nodes under it, and then two more nodes right under, and then any number of nodes right underneath. So you have those three branches, but you start at the top. So a directed acyclic graph is basically where you can deposit your transaction into a node, any node you want, and the nodes under you, specifically under you, validate your transactions without needing to propagate across the whole network. So it allows you to have kind of like this variation of sharding within a blockchain, and you don't have to do anything sequentially. And the concept of directed acyclic graph actually means that you start from the master node, and then you visit the child node, and you visit another child node. You never go back. That's why it's directed. And acyclic actually means that you do not ever loop around back to the parent. So
Mm.
every branch that exists within the blockchain is like its own shard. So you build branches, and the validators are voted in to be available to process your transactions. And like if my branch is busy, your branch is created for you that's truly unique, and you actually get into this graph where several and it's actually two slash three. So in other words, 66% of all the nodes validate your transaction, and then it becomes final, or not really final, but it gets propagated into the chain. And so the tech we're playing with have almost instant finality because of it. I would say 1 or 2 seconds, where with Ethereum it's I think 15 minutes, and the finality with Bitcoin is an hour or an hour and a half, because you need to wait 6 blocks to not to have the block reorg or anything like that, where your transaction can actually be thrown out, if you will. And I've seen that happen. Like
Oh
I
yeah.
seen I seen reorgs actually throw away and restructure transactions on Bitcoin, which is you know pretty
It,
much, it doesn't happen all the time, but definitely does happen.
so you're saying that this graph concept is what you're trying to implement into X1 to help settle on Bitcoin.
That's right. So first and foremost, we want to have the fastest CVM possible. Like we want to have instant finality. We want to have 5 to 10,000 transactions per second available for the users. So to you, it's going to feel like it's an instant transaction. And that actually what makes it so inexpensive. It makes it inexpensive because the branch of the directed acyclic graph, your branch, does not preempt other transactions. You see what I mean? So like
Hmm.
if everybody pile in, the network will create branches for all of the expensive transactions, which will propagate in parallel. So that's what makes it cheaper, because you're not waiting and you're not bidding for space on the block. You're actually bidding in a space within the network itself, and you're trying to take over a branch. And this unique branch is created for you. That graph, that hash graph, is created for you whenever you send a transaction. And so that makes it allows it for parallel execution, instant finality. It's very fast. It's almost like anytime you send a transaction, you create a shard. You see what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
So that's a
yeah.
really cool
Or
concept.
it's like if you're waiting for a subway while everybody's trying to pack in, it's almost like you could step back, but and then the whole fucking platform moves, and then there's a platform that comes in with no people, so you can get on the subway and get onto your day instead of waiting for a new subway to come after the platform clears. So that's actually really really dope. I mean, see that's
Like
why
this
I'm like,
this
man,
this
X1's
thing.
gonna be crazy.
The thing, the Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse, and like multiple universes and all that, and
Yeah, yeah,
many worlds theory. So think of many worlds theory applied to blockchain, where every branch is its own world that you live in, and you're not actually blocking anybody else's transactions. That is so cool, right?
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it gives because I also, I'm into the metaverse. I'm really like nerdy when it comes to internet stuff. So like, I've been trying to figure out how you do like a Decentraland with data inside of something, right? And that's why I love this whole ordinal concept because it's bringing us back to the idea that there's data in the blockchain and the blockchain holds data, so you could fill it with the with data that you want. It doesn't have to necessarily just be I'm gonna give this person some coins data. It could be like again a deed or it could be a BRC20, and that to me is mind blowing. But I feel like we don't necessarily need another EVM, but we do, and I'm glad that at least you're making something that's just not like just like yo, this is an EVM, because we could build on top of an X1 chain is kind of what I'm hearing right now. Like there's going to be this capability of bringing something like a world, like a metaverse uh, to a blockchain like X1 because it's going to execute in that type of environment. That's why I like Avalanche, man. Avalanche has it set up so that you can have a lot of data going on the blockchain at one time and it doesn't clog it up. Like that's one of the biggest issues with Ethereum. The gas isn't high because there's a lot of users. Sometimes it's just one user pushing a shit ton of gas or data to block everybody from getting into the block. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's just like me coming and why I like a lot of other different chains. Like, I'm not just subjective to Ethereum because I know that that unfairness is valid in that environment. It kind of brings us actually to a great segue. We've been chatting now for almost an hour and 30 minutes, man. So thank you so much for having
Sure.
this super sick. I mean, it's a little bit of a different feel, right? Like, I feel like a lot of people they interview you and you're getting interrogated.
Interrogated.
Oh, interrogated. See, I got lazy English, man. That's
In,
like
Integrated is a cool word too.
yeah,
So listen,
interrogate it. But yeah, I'm
would
trying
you?
to give you more of this integration vibe. So thanks for
Yeah, yeah,
vibing
yeah.
with me.
Thanks for that. It's definitely I'm enjoying this discussion. So, would you like to see a demo of directed acyclic graph?
Yeah, yeah. Are you gonna share your screen?
Why don't you share your screen so that people know that I am like not faking anything?
All right. You won't be able to see my screen, but everybody else will be able to see my screen.
Yeah, I actually have YouTube up on the phone, so I see it. I see the phone up as well. So you need to make your screen larger and make me smaller.
Oh, well, you won't be able to be seen. I'm sorry. You can only see my screen.
No,
Um,
no, I see it on. Yeah, I see it right now.
so where do you want me to go?
Okay, I'm gonna quickly stop my camera because I have a bunch of dogs that just came to the room. My wolfhounds. Um, okay, so I sent you the URL.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead and click on that URL that I sent you. It's the very last one. It's Zen Crypto BRFTPA 000 fcap.versal.app.
It's the Matrix link. BR. All right, I got it loaded up here.
Okay, you have it loaded. Okay, let's look at the browser. Yeah, and I obviously don't use the doxed, rather undoxed wallet because we want it to be, safe for you and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah. Hold on there, everybody. Look at this right here. This is while I log into my wallet. This is for entertainment purposes only. Damn.
Okay, so tell me what you see.
Give me 1 second. I thought I had my MetaMask already connected, but it's not there yet. But we about to get it. We about to get it connected right now, y'all. See, what's crazy is I bought the computer I'm streaming on in 2019 with Bitcoin after I quit the Apple Store. I like worked for Apple in the Apple Store for like 8 years, and then I quit. And to flex on my old coworkers, I like go back and buy a MacBook with Bitcoin. It was the dumbest shit I could ever done. Because like now the Bitcoin would be worth way more than what I bought it for. Uh, oh, whoa, this isn't connecting. Give me 1 second. I don't know why it's not connecting.
So what we're gonna do, we're actually gonna do two things. So one, obviously the web interface. Let's bring that up. Also bring up the Chain Explorer. It's a familiar explorer for everybody. Like everybody would recognize what it is. And you also have that link that I sent to you. It's
Are we connecting on Girly or am I connecting on X1? Because it keeps asking me for X to connect to X1.
You're connecting to X1, but by the way,
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
your backdrop is showing on YouTube. You're not sharing your screen right now.
Oh yeah, I know. I need to connect my wallet. That's why.
Okay. Yeah,
But
yeah.
I was
So
like tripping because it kept saying X1. I'm like, nah, I'm gonna be on Girly. But all right, let
no,
me get
you're
to
not gonna
X1.
be on Girly. I mean, we're not demoing Girly here. We're demoing X1.
This is a fact. We don't care about Girly no more. That was
No
that
Girly
was
transactions.
nah. We're men now.
That's right.
All right, I'm locked in. Let's go ahead and let's bring it back. All right, so I got up on the screen right now the Explorer.
It's still showing your backdrop.
Oh, it's gonna pop up.
Okay, okay.
It's moving a little slower over there. They know what time it is. We gonna get a new computer, guys. New laptop on the horizon. On the next Zen pump, maybe. No, I'm just kidding. I don't have that much Zen. No Zenian has Zen. We don't have Zen until March or April of next year.
Okay, so what you see is you see DevNet and you see fastnet.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I do see that. So
Okay,
fastnet.
so fastnet is directed acyclic graph chain that we're gonna demo. So it's the one on the right.
Oh, so this is a new MetaMask RPC I'm adding?
That's right. So MetaMask
Okay.
obviously is the same extension, but it will ask you to add a new RPC in there.
All right.
So go ahead and click on the fastnet tab, because we now have X1 DevNet and we have X1 fastnet.
Yeah, okay. There ain't nobody on fastnet. Well, there's some people here, I guess.
It's mostly my team on it right now. So this is the first time we're actually demoing fastnet, by the way.
Oh, so I can mint right now. Let me mint some.
Okay, so first of all, you have 100 and what is it? I see 10,000 XN. You see it right there on the top right, correct?
Yeah, I'm rich.
Okay. Okay. So the first thing I want to demo is I want to send you even more XN.
Oh damn.
Which I'm gonna do now, and
It's probably gonna be faster than the MetaMask, I bet.
Give me a second. So I'm gonna copy. It's the same address you gave me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I am putting it in. I'm gonna give you another 10,000 XN. And I'm gonna count from 3 to 1, and then when I say 1, it means that I hit the send button, and you should tell me when you receive the funds, right? So
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, go. Okay, it's going.
Is this UI gonna update for me, or should I look in?
Your MetaMask should actually flip.
Ooh, just got it.
Yeah, yeah. So it's very, very fast. But also, like right now, what you should do, you should bring the Explorer. So keep this web page up, but bring the Explorer that I also sent you, so that you can see what's happening on the Explorer. And the Explorer is the one link before the last one that I sent you. It's called explorer.x1-fastnet.
Oh yeah, I just pulled it up. I just popped up here. I see we got this transaction that happened less than a minute ago. It's extremely fast. Still says pending though. Did we catch you in the act? It says pending. No, I'm just kidding. But I have it up right now. I see we got the block explorer.
Okay, so click right there on X1 fastnet to bring in the first page.
Yeah, we're on the first page.
Like the home page.
Oh, you'll see it in a second. Or it should be there right now.
Okay, so what you see how nothing is moving?
Yeah.
So nothing is moving because the way that this chain is working, it doesn't produce blocks that have no transactions.
It doesn't produce blocks that has no transactions. Say that one more time.
It doesn't produce. So usually chains produce blocks all the time, even if they're empty, which is wasteful for the chain. So like, why would you have an empty block? It makes no sense.
Yeah, I was gonna say, why does anybody even do that? Like, what would be the premise of that?
Well, the purpose is there's really no purpose. It's just the design that they have done is that every block has to be produced. It's because of the consensus mechanism. So right now nothing is moving, right? So nothing is moving. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna send you a few more XN. Let's see, I'm gonna send you 101. And then once I press the button, which I'm about to press, you're actually going to see a new block being created. So boom, I just send it to you. Let's see if the block has moved.
I hope mine's updates. Because it should be 103. Should I refresh the screen?
Let's see. Yeah, let's try to. I mean, it should actually come anyway. Let's see.
It still says block 102.
I want to make sure I am on the right network. Okay, it's definitely is sending to you. So the block should be created right now.
Let's refresh it again. Still 102, but I got it in my MetaMask. I can see it reflecting in my MetaMask.
Did I give you maybe the wrong fastnet? Okay, give me a second.
Unless I'm on the one that's connected I didn't click the link. I went through MetaMask.
Go ahead and click on the link that I gave you.
Okay, let's see.
Let's make sure that we're doing it properly.
We gonna change it up. Oh, this one's it still says the same thing. It says 102, but it says at the top that it's indexing blocks. I'm not sure.
Oh, that's what it must be. Yeah. Okay. Never mind. So we're not going to be able to see it because the thing is a little slow. So go back to the previous page with the one where it says Zen.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, we're right here. I'm on the mint page though.
Yeah. So click on the mint page, then go to the xeNFTs and select the collector. Collector's NFT.
Let's get a collector. So I have it up right now, but it says the VMU count is only 45. But that's the max.
Switch those NFTs. Yeah, and then there's 45 is good because we're currently locking it to a low number. Go ahead and click mint because now you actually do have enough XN to actually to do it. Let's see what happens to your screen.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and sign this signature, guys. Sign this signature as well. Ooh. All right, take it off screen. So, nice cheap gas. I like that. So mint successful. Damn, that shit's already on the screen.
It's pretty fast, right?
Yeah, that's like way faster than the regular every blockchain I've been on. I mint NFTs from. It typically you have to refresh the page. That's why I'm so used to refreshing the page. I guess I'm already old school because I'm like, all right, I guess if I refresh it, it'll pop up. But yeah, instant.
So do like 3 more minutes and see how quick it is. Just keep clicking mint and.
Well, I mean, you've got a hack here where I can click mint more than once and I get multiple MetaMask transactions that pop up.
Not yet.
Hey, we want the feature. Mass bulk xeNFTs win. Because this is crazy, man. I'm actually doing it right now, and they're popping up pretty instantaneous.
Yeah, and you're paying tiny amount of gas for it. I'm doing it at the same time you're doing it, by the way.
How many are you up to? I'm up to 3.
I am up to 20.
Nah, this is. I mean, this is really, really cool. I mean, this is on fastnet though, so you're double confirming that Zen is going to be on X1 chain.
I think it's a good idea for Zen to be on X1 chain, just because Zen brings so much engagement. So it totally makes sense to do it. And I think like a bunch of people actually trolled me. They said, "Hey, you're never gonna put Zen on your own chain because you don't want to bring it down." I'm like, no, actually, I think it's a good idea to have it on the chain and have it beat up. Beat up.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'd like to go into the beginning of our conversation about how the way that Zen is created, it kind of keeps like crypto going on a blockchain when there's no crypto moving. That's kind of why I was hoping there'd be some sort of render of Zen, because again, Zen is open source, so essentially anybody can create their own Zen.
Right, right. If we don't put it on the X1, somebody else will. So it may as well be us.
Yeah, save the noobs. But also too, like I think it's good for. Well, I've always thought like if you wanted to really get rid of anything, you could just fork the Zen code. And that's kind of why like I never got caught up in any of the drama. I was just trying to focus on what's the innovation here, or like or how does this help the world become a better place, as you said once before. And Yeah, that's kind of why like I was hoping we would get some sort of Zen on X1 chain or something where it's like, hey, if I'm running out of crypto, maybe I make some crypto for the future. So I have something in the piggy bank to be able to play around when there's dApps and whatnot. But yeah, man, that was really really quick.
So let's do this one other thing. On the style of viewing for xeNFTs, there's a grid view. So click on the grid view. It's a square button next to the mint button. Like
Mm-hmm.
it has 4 squares. So
Oh, the
click
four
there.
square one. Yeah.
Yeah. And then go ahead and hit mint once more. Just it's going to be a little bit different experience.
Max mint. Remember, mint max term, stake max length. That was like the chant in the very beginning of Zen. It was like mint max term, stake max length.
Yeah,
That chant is no longer, unless you're a real Zenian. You really
that's right.
got that X in you. You're like, all right, we stay minting max terms. So I see this is popping up. What I think is that X1 chain is faster than the UI. So I'm getting some dead SVGs because I think it's just loading, but it's loading the item,
Yeah,
but it's just not like compiling it to the screen as fast as the blockchain is making it. So
yeah,
yeah, we'll have to speed up Brave browser before you launch X1 chain so people aren't confused. But yeah, if I hit the
yeah,
refresh button, you guys will see here that it's gonna pop up the actual ZenFT.
yeah. Well, I guess the feeling that I want to convey is that this is a directed acyclic graph chain. It's non-sequential parallel transactions. Can probably be scaled to between 5 to 10,000 transactions per second with instant finality. So we're currently investigating how to implement this sort of EVM into X1. So that's like part of our research.
Mm. Nah, man, I feel like what you're showing me right now is getting me super duper excited about what is X1 chain. Um, I mean, I already knew like it was gonna be quick because the first version of it, the DevNet was pretty fast, but that's literally you minting Zen like it's water coming out of a faucet, full open faucet of water just running. Um, and what makes you feel like what is like okay, now we're gonna go back to some VPMX talk. What
The NTX.
what v VMPX, what makes you feel like people are gonna in the Bitcoin world are gonna appreciate this? Because this is something that a lot of people talk about in the community. They say that Bitcoiners aren't gonna use VMPX to come to Ethereum because they hate Ethereum, right? And you're building this amazing EVM with the Bitcoin layer. Are you trying to kind of get the like is that was that are these people basically telling the truth? Are they saying that you've built this because you want Bitcoiners to come to Ethereum?
It's actually both ways. So
Okay.
when I did like this tweet last week, I'm showing a dam with Ethereum being water, and then like the Bitcoin town is about to get flooded. So the
About
fact
to
of
open
the
the
matter
faucet.
is, most of the degens or people who play with digital artifacts, they're on Ethereum. Even the Bitcoiners have chosen to be on Ethereum if they want to expand beyond Bitcoin before BRC20s. Now they're very happy with BRC20s. We're actually the biggest indicator to me that there is value and demand is the market cap hitting $1 billion within like 45 days of BRC20 launch. So
Mm,
it is not arguable beyond considerable doubt that there is value in BRC20 just because how quickly our token gained value to $45 million. It literally hit $45 million faster than Zen ever did. So it took Zen months and months and months to get there. It took
Hmm.
VMPX days to get to 45 million market cap.
Wow. And
So
what I was gonna say is a question somebody asked was why VMPX? Like why not like Zen? If you're working with Bitcoin, why not mask Zen by Zen?
okay, so there's two answers. First thing is that we didn't think it would be successful. So we didn't want to put Zen on on chain if we weren't sure that there would be no uh, uptake by the market. And so VMPX launch actually blew all of our expectations. It blew like people's minds on Bitcoin side. It changed the way Binance thinks about how they should be moving their Bitcoin because now they're doing Lightning or investigating Lightning. They actually brought up a Lightning node. A lot of people panicked on Binance when VMPX launched because they couldn't get their Bitcoin out. And eventually, $4.6 billion of Bitcoin actually left Binance. Did you see the Binance a couple of days ago? Actually, Bitcoin hit $135,000 on Binance because liquidity was so low.
Yeah, I saw that. I've been watching it on my channel with the Zinians that watch crypto, bro. We've been calling it a Bitcoin bank run because it seems a lot of the exchanges are the Bitcoin is coming out, it's
So,
not going in.
so here's the sequence of events. BRC20 gets launched. We then experiment with BRC20. We launch VMPX. It rocks the boat really hard on the Bitcoin side. Everybody on Binance freak out and take their Bitcoin out. So they take their Bitcoin out, reducing their liquidity. And this event with Bitcoin being $135,000 was actually due to low liquidity and people aping in into Bitcoin and setting their limits wrong.
Wow.
But the fact of the matter is that optically, it looks like the bull run is starting for Bitcoin.
Yeah.
It feels like it because like all of a sudden, like from so Gary Gensler spoke about suing everybody, and that was the buy signal. Bitcoin dumped to 25. That
Mm-hmm.
was the time to load, and now it's like rebounded hard to 31,000. It's like literally sitting on 31,000 right now.
Nice.
That usually happens with Pepe and God knows what else, right? Like the shitcoin du jour. It doesn't happen to Bitcoin generally. That's sort of a move because 25,000 to 31,000, that's like 20% move almost, which is pretty incredible. But the fact of the matter is that we have reduced Binance liquidity due to the fact that people panic that Binance cannot transmit their Bitcoin out due to the network congestion, creating even more panic. And the positive is that now they're investigating Lightning. They're putting Lightning nodes everywhere. It's going to be better for Binance. But the other positive thing is that because a lot of Bitcoin left back to the self custody of the humans, that's also a very very positive and good thing. The other positive that a lot of people are not considering is that because Binance now has less Bitcoin, it actually makes Bitcoin moving faster on their exchange because the liquidity is lower. So it's
Mm.
bullish for Bitcoin when the liquidity is lower. Like when the liquidity is all-time high, nothing moves. There's as many sellers as many buyers because liquidity is thick.
Yeah,
It's a
you
thick
kind
order book.
you kind of putting in my head right now that like Bitcoin in this specific instance is kind of treated like the new hot coin on like a Coinbase, right? Like you want your shit coin to get listed on Coinbase so everybody can see it and you can take your shit coin, put it on Coinbase and unload it, right? And
So not
that's kind of like what I'm
yeah.
feeling though about Bitcoin because it sounds like now more buyers are there because like we also want to bring it to the BRC20 side and that's like a new player in the game. Like there really wasn't that player on top of the people just trying to buy and sell to get rich off Bitcoin.
Yeah, yeah. So like another way to think about Bitcoin and Satoshis right now is it became a gas token. It's
Hmm.
actually gained utility for the creation of new digital artifacts on the Bitcoin blockchain, which is huge, right? It's
Huge,
incredible.
huge.
It's
Yeah.
like think about it. It used to be like a hodling cryptocurrency that you just practice self custody with. or you trade it in Binance or anywhere else. But now it's actually used as gas, kind of like
Hmm.
gas, because
Kind of like us.
you need to be competing in an auction to actually get into the block, and to, like, you want your bitmaps, well, you have to pay more satoshis,
Hmm. And
and you
and
can.
that's the part where I've already started to study this thing because it's moving just like Ethereum, where the stats will be like 16, and then in the middle of the day the stats will be at 30. And like now it's like, oh, I gotta, just because my Zen training, I'm like, all right, we gotta wait till the stats go down before we start doing transactions so we can get the best price for our Bitcoin block space, whether it be bitmaps, whether it be VMPX, whether it be Buffy. And I think like that's like the part where I think it's really hard for people to grasp, is that they're still doing the Ethereum things that they've been doing, but now the gas token is Bitcoin.
Yeah,
Yeah, and like I think that's why like I won't even lie, man. I was a so hardcore not believing in Bitcoin that I was telling people not to buy it off of the idea of making money. But
right.
now, ever since BRC20s makes a lot of sense of owning real estate or owning block space of the Bitcoin network that could potentially become extremely hard to get, right? As it gets harder to mine, it goes right back to the narratives of what Bitcoin was designed for and created for in the 2008 recession, right?
Yeah, it was meant to be peer to peer cash, right? I mean, obviously, the crypto world is adopting its own crypto faster than the real world. But if ordinals and BRC20s make Bitcoin act more like cash to get into those projects, it's actually starting to live up to the original vision of Satoshi, which
Hmm.
is we're all behind, obviously.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm bullish on ETH, man. Like, I think ETH is winding itself into like a lot of corporate Fortune 500 feelings, and there won't be this like idea that people are saying they're gonna initially build on Bitcoin into their concepts, but I do have this feeling that it's gonna be a forced feeling because no one thought NFTs were going to do what they did in 2021. And then, or in 2020 to 2021. And then in 2021, I went to all the parties with the NFT people. I saw all the money that was made with the VC funding. I seen everything that token people wish they could have. Having in a year, the NFT people, like I've been in tokens since 2017, and there was only a couple tokens that go on yacht parties. But you have a industry, NFT NYC. They take over New York for a whole week. They even get Times Square to put their pictures up on the in Times Square. So I can't wait until see, BTC ordinals mixed in with the Ethereum people because it's just better block space. And like everybody, we're like so early that most people I think are gonna hear that like, oh yeah, I might want to, utilize the most richest block space in crypto versus a chance, which I kind of see with ETH now. ETH is like I'm chancing my cryptocurrency. I'm not necessarily, gonna make a real return unless I listen to the ETH people and just hold ETH. So this BRC20 thing though, just to bring it all home, I feel it's very important to keep your eye on. I'm not telling people to jump in on it and like go and change your whole portfolio to nothing but Bitcoin. But I personally, on my own whim, went out and saw how much opportunity that there's gonna be in the space, and we are the spacewalkers that found the planet before anyone else.
Yeah. Well, at the very least, people need to understand the lay of the land, understand what Unisat wallet is, how to use it, what is a UTXO, what kind of marketplaces you have available for yourself. Can you be creative there? And like again, going back to bitmaps, like that dude is not a developer.
Hmm.
He's just a dude that came up with an idea, and all of a sudden this thing has took off.
Yeah.
So it's pretty crazy, like how easy it is to be creative, and when technology gives you this possibility to to get things off the ground.
Well, it's the hive mind, man. The thousand brain thing that you said once upon a time ago. If a thousand brains are thinking about one idea, then it's more likely to expand and become even more aggressive. And that's kind of what Bitmap was. Somebody actually shared it to me in a chat while I was streaming. They paid $5 to be like, "Yo, bruh, check out Bitmaps." Like on June. ninth, right when they came out, and I blew it off or whatever. And then I started to look at it, and then I was like, wow, people will bring value to the smaller ones, like the four, or like the very beginning blocks where they're small, because it's stupid. It's like buying a pizza, like I want pepperoni, I want cheese, blah blah blah. Everybody wants the normal thing. But then when I saw how you could label block space in Bitcoin to an idea or an imagination, I my whole head started to explode because that's what that person saw. That what's his name, Blakamoto. That's all he was really trying to say was like, hey, we could use the most, and I mean this is kind of attack to Zen, so I'm sorry, but they're using the blocks, which are one of the most organically made supply things, because a new Bitcoin block is only made if the network is working. And then the blocks inside of it are only made based on the transactions, right? So if all of these things get inscribed on, essentially only every day, that's the only time there'll be new bitmaps to inscribe on, which kind of makes it like a very fairly launched environment to build on top of. Because now you can build like you could use the bitmap inscription to like call the transaction and then make a community based off certain transactions. And that's kind of why I went in on the 420 idea. So it's like, oh yeah, like there'd be a bunch of people who would love 420, right? There'd be a bunch of people who would love 69, or there'll be a bunch of people who love 111 or 222. And now it's becoming even bigger because there's more minds thinking about, well, what else will people love? And like what else will people get really into? And it's that hive mind, man, that part of technology that people tend to run away from, and why I'm in crypto for the tech, because all these people thinking together, bro. Like you don't even get that shit standing outside in the middle of New York City. Like that, not everybody's thinking together unless they're crossing the street. So this hive mind in crypto, we're all different places around the world, and we're all thinking about one goal to make something better and more enriched for ourselves. Like I don't see any other power outside of the crypto space where that's invented. Um, and we're running up on like 2 hours, dude. We'd love to have you on the show, or the channel. This really isn't a show. We usually do technical analysis here, guys, and we talk about Zen, and we've been talking about Zen since every single day since March, and trying to discover what exactly is this thing. So definitely gonna keep doing that shit. So be here on Monday. Make sure you like and subscribe. Be here Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. We're talking Zen. But Mr. Jack Levin, do you want to take any questions? I mean, I want to be valuable of your time. We're pushing 2 hours.
Yeah,
You got any
yeah. I mean,
closing
like,
statements?
let's like take like 3 questions from the chat, and like
All right.
you choose whatever you want to choose, and I'll try to answer them.
All right, guys. Here, drop. You guys heard the man. Drop your questions in the chat. Let's see what you got. Let's see what you got. Crypto bro won't make Jack talk. What do you want me to? What do you want the man to talk about? Um, John Smith, man, you love talking about hardware wallets, bro. How about them 420s? Looks like the chat is in agreement that everything is great. Let's see. So, oh, my guy, Simple Waters, he says, what about Buffy? What about its utility? He wants to know.
So there's 2 answers. Buffy was launched without utility because it was a complete like experiment, kind of like a funny thing. So at the from the launch point, there's no utility.
Mm-hmm.
However, we try to give utility to all assets we launch, and so I guess I'll just have to leave it as that, because I don't have any specific announcements, but I think the community should know that the things we launch should and probably will get utility. Just looking at the other things that have happened. And by the way, like, so VMPX, we thought first and foremost utility is just getting people into the BRC20. That's the utility number one. Get people to understand that they can actually trade it, mint it, participate in the whole thing. That's the utility.
Mm-hmm.
The utility is the mint, right? Because when the shitcoin or a meme coin without utilities launching, usually it's like some sort of like airdrop, and the founders pre-mint the whole thing, and then they drop it on you, and then they come up with like ways to burn it. So the utility always comes after. In our products, and specifically like why BRC20 resonates so well, is because you have to mint it,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the utility. And so VMPX utility was originally just to see what the market appetite is for that sort of self-custodial utility using Unisat and getting to know Bitcoin side of things.
Mm-hmm.
Day two of VMPX, after studying the data as it came in, it was obvious that VMPX needed to be given even more utility. And so on day two, I said three things. I said that VMPX, we're working on VMPX utility specifically pertaining to X1, pertaining to XN, and pertaining to Bitcoin connectivity to X1. So that was day two. So a lot of people kind of been somewhat unhappy that they didn't buy VMPX throughout the 30 days before the utility was announced, like the official announcement.
Mm-hmm.
But I tweeted and I said that wait for an announcement, the utility is coming. Wait for it. So if you didn't get into it and now you feel sorry that you didn't and it pumped, well, you had all the information that was available. I mean, not all the information, but at least you had the opportunity as a Zinian or just person familiar with our ecosystem to get a tiny bag of VMPX. So VMPX definitely is getting this very, very interesting utility being a bridge token. I think allowing people to provide single side liquidity either from Ethereum side or Bitcoin side is going to be vital in this
Mm-hmm.
new world of Bitcoin adoption.
Mm-hmm.
And that is why it's being used as a bridge token. It also has an optional conversion to XN. When I say optional, that means that if you have minted VMPX on July 4th, during the supermoon, that's what we call it, supermoon. We also call it Zen Dependence Day.
That's a lot of
Um,
syllables.
yeah,
I like
Zen
supermoon.
Dependence. Yeah, supermoon is good. So it is happening on actually supermoon, and I think it's
Mm-hmm.
called buck moon or something like that because the moon is going to be larger than it usually is.
Ooh.
And so there, if you're minting VMPX, eVMPX, you're giving birth to it, you will be qualified to convert one VMPX to 3XN. Now, we
Mm-hmm.
actually didn't say when you can do it and how long it will take you, which is actually coming. So when you can do it is when X1 is up, and the period of time you can do it over is not going to be instantaneous. So like in other words, we're thinking is to give an allocation, which is a set of XN tokens, and that's just a discrete number of tokens. It's going to be a value, a number. And that allocation, you can convert your VMPX into XN over a period of time, which could be 6 months, could be 9 months, could be a year. But you will not be able to just dump it all on X1 and convert it immediately and then sell off XN just because there's an abundance of XN all of a sudden. So
Mm-hmm.
we're trying to come up with a game theory that's balanced enough where first of all you have to be a minter on July 4th. You get your eVMPX. And then when X1 is up next year, you will be able to convert it over time and you will probably compete for the slots of conversion.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not going to be like free for all. Hey, I have all of my VMPX. I paid a lot of my Ethereum gas to get it. Now I'm going to convert a million VMPX into like, let's say 3 million XN. That's not going to happen. What's going to happen is that we will allow the release of allocation to happen over time to make it fair too. But also we don't want VMPX to be completely discarded because we want people to stake it for the bridge. So if bridge comes up before X1, and I'm not sure if it will or it won't, but if it does, or at least we have demos, people will be able to stake VMPX as a single side liquidity provider, whether it's Ethereum side or a Bitcoin side, and they should be able to earn yield in VMPX on the swaps from Bitcoin to Ethereum and Ethereum to Bitcoin, and
Mm-hmm.
also X1 to Bitcoin.
Yeah, yeah. That you see, a reason why I saw Simple ask that we were talking about it a couple of days ago, because what what we're focused on in this whole Bitcoin world, because me and him we're spacewalking hard on Bitcoin, trying to figure it out, is when this bridge goes live, what does it look like for a little guy like me to create a project around the bridge? And are these tokens, these BRC20s, well, right, well, like the way that's how I'm interpreting VMPX launch is that you need coins on both sides, and you need them to be exactly the same so you can have the same narrative on both sides to be able to have this bridge. So essentially, other builders could try to come and build alongside you with their communities and build bridges for their communities. Not to say like, we're all behind VMBX. Like it's like, oh, I'm gonna go build my own thing and then bring my community to your bridge. Is that kind of like the feeling that you're trying to give off with this bridge that like other devs should try to, or because I don't know if you've heard of like the Bitcoin melodies in the ordinal market. So they made a bridge. I actually bought their shitcoin. They have a shitcoin called Laser Eyes. Bought
Okay.
in it, VC funded, got dumped on. Still getting dumped on today. But I got in because I noticed that they were going to use the token to kind of, I guess, gift to people for using their NFT bridge. Going back to NFTs, those are the only people who care about this right now. They're bridging or burning their NFTs into Bitcoin NFTs. And Bitcoin Melodies is the organization or the NFT group that created the bridge for Ordinal Market. And Ordinal Market now wants other projects to build their code into their bridge or into their
Wait a second. Is it Melody or My Lady?
it, two different ways. You could say melody. Some people say melody, and then some people say my lady. So sometimes it comes off out of my
It's
mouth.
Millady. Am I?
Yeah, my lady.
That's what it is. So I heard My Lady.
Yeah, my lady. Oh,
I,
you've heard of this group?
yeah. I actually looked into their token ladies or something that's currently traded like
Mm-hmm.
everywhere.
Yeah, they
So
have ladies, and then now they have Laser Eyes, which is
oh
their Bitcoin
yeah,
bridge token. But
yeah. Those guys are crazy.
yeah, but I like one thing I like about them, even though I know like it's territory where I don't know anything because it's their project they're building. I have to let them build, even if it goes down. If they have a good project, something you should look at. So seeing them trying to integrate other people to build around their code base, it makes me like bullish on this bridge concept because I can
Yeah,
see the developers using different types of ways to make sure they have the best user experience for the crowd that they're trying to bring around.
yeah,
And that's kind of like how I see Buffy and
right.
Pussy. Like those are identifiable tokens in BRC20 world where you could potentially build a community around them and have X1 as the bridge to solidify that hey, we could get back to Ethereum if we need to. And that's kind of like what me and him were chopping it up about why I pointed his question out about Buffy because I'm sure there's a lot of people in the community that want to start, venturing into this world, making their own BRC20s, making their own Zen communities outside of just the main hub. And I
Yeah.
kind of see the bridge being that way. We have Tree City West actually asked, is there anything special coming after July 4th for Zen?
Yes, July 5th is going to be very special.
Yeah, I think that's what he's hinting at. What's going on the day after July 4th, July 5th? Is there anything happening, or is that speculation?
There is a super secret project that nobody knows about
Okay.
that we're planning to launch, and I think it's going to make a lot of noise. It may be very very interesting. One thing that I'm going to say, it's not going to be another token.
Not
It's
in it.
it's
Okay.
it's an infrastructure play, a project that we didn't say anything to anyone yet. So super secret. It's coming after EVMPX launch on Ethereum. It's gonna be super fun. I think it could change the way people think about ERC20 tokens.
Okay.
So
So
it's going to be something different. It's like an ERC20 with a twist, but it's not a token. So that's my hint right now.
What the hell? ERC20 with a twist.
ERC20 with a
Yeah,
twist,
vanilla
and
Coke.
it's yeah, something like that. But much better, much better. We think it's going to be great. We don't know don't know if it's going to fly or not. But so far, like anytime I say that things probably not going to fly, they're just flying. So I'm gonna have to play my own devil's advocate and just say like it probably will fly. So, but I don't want to say too much right now because it's like it's going to be a surprise, and I want to give the surprise to our community.
Yeah, yeah.
So, so going back to Buffy and various other things. So, uh, we want to give utility to everything. We do. Now, I really want people to understand that yes, we say that we're trying to give things utility. It doesn't mean that the quality of that utility is even going to be good. Just giving it utility does not mean that you need to rush in and buy it right now. I mean, if you're a degen and you're just buying everything, then by all means, don't let us stop you. Buy everything. So, but don't take it as a financial advice of any kind that the utility that we're envisioning is even going to be possible or practical or can help the world in any way. We hope it would, and we're working very hard to make it so. But we want people to realize that even the conversations about X1, this experimental technology that we're working on, all of it is coming. We hope it will work, but we cannot ask people to put their minds and money into something that is so unknown. So if you want to speculate, by all means, speculate on the unknown. I do it all the time. I buy stocks. I imagine that Tesla is going to be the shit, so I buy it. But I had no idea that, for example, Tesla power electric network was going to be used by GM, Ford, and Rivian right now. That was a total surprise. But I hoped that something would come. I had expectations that Elon is a genius, and therefore I bought Tesla. Now, would it? Did I know the future? No. Do I know that Elon is probably a genius? Yes. So that's what guided my purchasing decision when it came to buying Tesla. Now, when it comes to minting VMPX, buying all of the other tokens that are out there that are part of our ecosystem, you can, of course, speculate on the future, but you have to make your own determination. And just like Zensu loves to say, you should wear big boy pants and take full responsibility for your own actions. So don't just like listen to interviews like these and say, okay, well, Jack said this, therefore that. Certainly it's part of the equation, but definitely be very discerning about the crypto space because things are volatile and anything can happen. Anything.
Yeah. That's why I
So
like the way
nothing
that
is a financial advice. Everything is speculative. We are very interested in developing an ecosystem that's the largest ecosystem in the world of crypto. That is what we're aligned with. That is our goal. And we continue to do so. Whether we're successful or not, well, that depends on the market forces. So that's kind of like the standard disclaimer. I think it's a very healthy way to think about it
yeah,
because you
definitely.
don't want to ape in into this one thing and then like, oh shit, now everything's changing because we reserve the right to change things. Like even
Mhm.
our light paper 1.2 has a disclaimer on the top of the page saying, by the way, things may be changing.
Yeah.
Like we
Yeah.
may not actually like whatever we write in the paper. We also listen to the community and we talk to people and we get feedback. So like for example, just recently I talked to my team and I said, hey, by the way, like we talked about the allocation for X1 and percentage points. Actually, percentage points does not make sense to talk about because the gas token on any blockchain it never has a static supply. Like we're thinking 1 billion for XN, but it will always be changing due to the fact that the block producers get yield, they create and mint more XN, and then the transaction usage actually burns it. So will it ever be exactly at 1 billion? Probably not. So given that's the case, the allocation for VMPX and 333 Zen burns and just the regular Zen burn, kind of like in perpetuity, you cannot really say that okay, this percentage goes there. The better way to say it is, for example, 300 million goes here, 100 million goes there, and like those numbers kind of like stay the same. That gives you a better explanation as far as like what the allocation really is, given that the 1 billion supply we're targeting is always going to be a moving target, especially when X1 is live and validators and block producers are creating blocks and they're getting paid by minting themselves XN, but then the transactions on the chain will burn XN. So it's always going to be two forces, mint and burn. So coming up with the percentages like 33%, like that's what a lot of people are hooking onto, is really not the right way to think about this. So it's probably like I would say that we're going to release a new pie chart where we're going to say those are not percentages, those are real numbers that will be targeted as a supply for that particular action within that aspect of the release.
Hmm. I mean, that's the best way to put it though, because a lot of people they want to run with the narrative. But I love the way that Zensu just put it in his Light Paper 1.2 YouTube he dropped yesterday. I had a chuckle when he did the laboratory concept at the end of like, hey, we're in the lab right now and things are subjective to blow up, and we have to start all over. All the beakers are done. Whole lab is done. We got to rebuild the whole lab. And that's kind of how it has been feeling on the Zen world. But again, it all stems from the hive mind and the belief that you believe there's value in the subject that you're studying. And if you believe in that, then you should get to a crossroads within yourself to understand what you believe. Whether you believe, the FUD or not the FUD, and that's why I love my channel, because we are trying to stay just in the middle of everything, and not necessarily put a lot of weight on one statement. And I mean, we did it with the whole DXN thing. I won't lie, I went a little overboard on it. But the best part about the experience was I learned that Zen is the key, and all roads lead back to Zen, and that is the win. And as long as your formula gets you back to Zen, which happened for me, I ended up, having to, make a decision. I got out of DXN, but what I did was I doubled up my Zen. I burned 550 million Zen, and I sold it for a billion Zen. So technically, it's still one, even though it's not working how people think it is, and not didn't go the narrative that people wanted it to. And that's all part of the experiment. You need to
Yeah.
really apply yourself to it in order to speak for it, or you're just simply regurgitating other things that other people are telling you.
Yeah. So like the other thing that we're actually trying to do is we're trying to be very balanced between the reality and hopium.
Hmm.
So currently X1 exists in this hopium world still, even for us, because we're experimenting with different tech. So we're hoping to achieve amazing results, and we're working hard on it. Like there's a lot of effort being put in for us to create a balanced view, but you have to balance it out with the reality of what works well now. And what works well now is ZenFTs, ability to trade ZenFTs on Blur or OpenSea, and that's like 90% of the world that's been working as an oiled machine, like so to speak.
Hmm.
So always like if you're a person getting into the ecosystem, do not think that X1 is like the golden goose and you just forget everything and just think about X1. You should also think that, for example, yesterday gas was 13 Gwei, and you could be minting your Zenturians for under $500. So that is an opportunity that exists right now, like in front of you, and people should be taking advantage of it because during the bull cycle, the gas is not going to stay low.
Yeah, this goes back to the beginning of our conversation, man. You were putting motherboards inside of water to get Bitcoin going, and now most people don't know that that's what it took for them to press a button today,
Yeah,
right? And they're following whatever they feel is the narrative of the button being clicked. And that's why I feel like I love Zen again. And I'm glad you made it. Not to say it's yours, because at any moment we could fork you out. But I like the idea of educating people and using it as the tool to get users clicking and get users into the idea that we click on crypto like you click on the internet. All right, you're
Yeah.
gonna click a bunch of links anyways on the internet today, so why not go click some that could potentially help your future?
Yeah, and Zen, I would say like Zen truly belongs to the people. We literally gave up custody of the source code on October 8th, 2022. It was released to the
Thanks for the idea.
blockchain, and it's now in everybody's hands. Like it's literally a piece of code that belongs to everybody. It doesn't belong to me at all. I am the builder on Zen. I want Zen to have more value. I want the community to grow. So this whole dive into Bitcoin was to get community larger, to have people talk about Zen. And if it takes another token to launch somewhere else, so that it's like going to a different country and learning their language.
Hmm.
Don't come to Asia and continue speaking English and expect people to give you noodles, right? You need to
Yeah.
like get into like go to China, get hired as a chef, get training, learn the language, set up the kitchen, start making noodles, and then people will understand you. So this is kind of like the VMPX thing. Like we had to talk their language so that we can bring them aboard into our universe.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, eh, and that's again, community is driving this, man. If anybody in the community can put it all together, that's why Buffy exists. Like it's a Xenian community thing that it travels around space and time, and that's everything on every blockchain too. Which at least that's what I'm preaching. I'm preaching that all chains matter because of that theory. That if you're putting yourself in the kitchen and you're cooking and you're speaking the language of that chain, you're more likely going to be the top chef of that chain. And Zen is the building block to helping a lot of people realize if they even like blockchain or if they like better blockchains. And that's why I'm on Bitcoin because it's the ultimate blockchain. And yeah, man, I think this is a good time to wrap up the interview.
Yeah. So
Um,
in conclusion, Zensu has been texting me to remind everyone that we're going to have Twitter Spaces. We're going to have a nice focus on the questions, on the AMA, Q&A, whatever the acronym of choice you come up with. But we're going to be available on Twitter Spaces. Everybody's welcome. Um, yeah, we'll talk about anything and everything, and what we're excited about and what people are excited about.
you want people to
I,
invite you to a Twitter space, or you're going to be doing a Twitter space?
I'm going to have Zensu invite me
Okay. What are you guys going to host a Twitter space
on Twitter.
or when?
When? A couple of days, either
Okay,
tomorrow or the
okay.
day after.
All right. Be on the lookout, guys.
Yeah,
Make a Twitter if you don't have one. You're only on YouTube.
right, right.
Well, I mean,
Twitter.
yeah, Twitter has all the info right now, man. Elon did the smart thing with buying Twitter, in my opinion, because it's the wall of the internet right now. Anything and everything is on that wall. So it's a great place to definitely, keep being a voice in the arena of the community. I think Twitter is a real arena for us. There's a lot of people who use that billboard as truth. Whatever
That's
they
right.
see there, that's the truth to them. So definitely having your influence there helps, encourage people in the right direction and or give them the research information that they're looking for to develop the conclusions that they're looking for. But any last words, Jack Levin, Mr. Jack Levin?
Thanks for having me. It was a very nice conversation, and I'd love to do it again. And again, like I'm very excited about the Zen world, and this is like Zensu and I and the rest of the guys that are part of the core team. That's what we live and breathe. Like every weekday, every weekend, we talk about it. There's no other subject that we're discussing. So we're always trying to figure out how to scale the ecosystem and how to make it welcoming to everybody, to both regular people and also the builders.
Hey, keep thinking, man. I mean, you got the users that are exploring again how we can use Zen, and we need the builders to keep thinking on how the users can use their product to build on top of Zen. So again, ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Jack Levin. Thank you guys for pulling up to the stream. Won't be here tomorrow. It's Friday. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll catch you.